Hello everyone. I welcome you all with another tutorial which is mainly focusing on how to deploy a MERN stack application into one of App Service on Microsoft Azure portal. Throughout this video, I will be demonstrating about Microsoft Azure portal and their hierarchy and how to create resource groups and how to create app services. Then we will be exploring some uh, implemented application with MERN stack and how to deploy that application into one of app service on Azure portal with using Visual Studio Code Azure Tools extension. So before jumping into deployment, let's discuss about Azure portal. So Microsoft Azure is one of cloud computing provider which is mainly focusing on managing and deploying application and services. So on Azure portal, you will have many subscriptions like free trial, student benefit, and enterprise and pay as you go subscription. So I will describe each one. So free trial is one thing that you can get to your personal Microsoft account, and the free trial gives you 200 credits to use within 30 days and 12 months of free services. So we will go through in the demonstration. And another subscription that you can have is student benefit one. If you are a student under an organization, and if the organization uses Microsoft license, education license, you can sign up into Azure portal by using your student Microsoft account. Student benefit subscription gives you 100 credits to use within 12 months, and this is what the student subscriptions looks like. So you have 100 credits and you will have learning paths as well and some free softwares like Visual Studio Enterprise Editions as well. So you can explore all the uh, softwares. You will have several uh, software licenses here, and other subscription is free subscription which I mentioned, that you will have to proceed some verifications when you are sign up onto Azure portal. Under free services, you will have virtual machines, databases, and web storage and so on. So each of the services will require the minimum usages, like for Azure SQL database, you will have 32 GB of storage likewise. And in pay-as-you-go subscription, you will pay only the services that you are using. Alright, so we have some basic idea of Azure portal. So let's move on to how the hierarchy is being managed. So here, here you can see the hierarchy of Azure portal. So on top of Azure portal, you will have tenant groups, and under tenant groups, you will have management group, and under management groups, you will have subscription. You can have multiple subscriptions, and under subscriptions, you will have all the resources like app services and Azure databases likewise. So resource groups are something that you can categorize your services and resources into groups. It will be in very manageable manner. So that's the overall idea of Microsoft Azure. So you will get more clarifications when we are doing the demonstration. Let's move to the application. So this is a simple MERN stack application which fetch data from NASA APIs. So I have used the providing NASA APIs into my application so I can fetch relevant data from the API. So if I go to an sample API, so this API provides the Mars rover photos. So if I go to the sample API, this will be the response of the API, which gives the images of each Mars rover images. So I have my application running on. So if I go to my application, it has some basic sign-in form and register sign-up form. So if I log into my application, so it will display the data according to the API. So this photo is from the NASA API, and I have three menu categories. So if I go to Mars rover photos, it will load all the data from the API. Likewise, so I can select the camera as well. So the images will load according to the selected camera and the astronomy picture of the day. So if I go to NASA API and the category of airport astronomy picture of the day, and they're providing API is here. So this will be the response for uh, fetching this image. So if I check this image URL, which is the same image that are displayed on our application, right? So it's a pretty simple application, and I will log out and log in again with debugging mode, so you can get a better idea of how the backend works. So it's a simple backend with user management. So I have MongoDB cluster for storing the user data. So if I go to my backend controllers, I have auth controller. So this is the signing part where I handles the signing. So if I have a breakpoint on there, mm, you can see the breakpoint is hit, and I have the username and password, and it fetch the data from my MongoDB cluster, and it will compare the password and then redirect into our page. Likewise, so this application is runs on local. So how are we going to deploy this application? So let me go through with that. So I am using Visual Studio Code environment. So under Visual Studio, you can have extensions. So in order to publish our or deploy our application into App Service, we have to install the extension called Azure Tools. So you can simply download them by searching the extension, and then you have to install the Azure Tools. So I have already installed the Azure Tools. So if I move on to the extensions, so within the tool, you need to sign into your Azure portal. So once you proceed with your sign up, you can sign into your Azure account through the Visual Studio. If I go to sign into Azure, it will be redirecting to sign up from browser. So yeah, once I proceed with the sign up, once I proceed with the sign in, I have the subscription shown here. So if your subscription is free, it will be listed under free subscription, and if you are using student benefit, you will get the student benefit subscription like this. So here I have my subscription. So under subscription, I have list of services. So if I move on to one service, which is called App Service, I have not deployed any or created any app services. So I will recommend you to create an app service from Azure portal. So you can easily configure your app service through Azure portal. So let's move on to Azure portal with related to the subscription. So I have my Azure portal open. So here you have all the services. Once you go to left hand side menu, you can redirect to your all resources and other services, or you can search them here as well. So if I search like app service, you will get the results to create an app service. In the start of the video, I have mentioned that Azure has some hierarchy uh, about managing groups. So you have subscription and you have resource groups. Under resource groups, you can manage your resources. So first thing I'm going to do is creating a resource group. So it will be very easy to manage your applications under one resource group. So here I have Azure Services, and Azure Service I have resource group. Or otherwise you can search them as resource group. Here I will go with the resource group and create a new one. So to create the resource group, you have to select your subscription and name of your resource group. I will go with demo NASA. Let's say here. And you can select the region as well. So I will select Southeast. And then review plus script. So so our validation is passed. And I have created my new resource group named demo NASA IP project. So under this resource group, I can get the full details of which subscription this resource group is belong to, likewise. And then we will move to create two separate app services. Why we are creating two separate app services? Because in our MERN stack application, I have my client application in React and my backend for authentication in Node Express with MongoDB. So I have to host these applications in two different app services. After you create the app service and publish your or deploy your application into app service, the app service will give you a URL to access the resource. So once you're done creating your resource group, you can create resources. So I'm going to create the app service. So I'm not going to go through with here. I'm going to directly search the application app service from the search bar. So I click the app service, and under create section we have four different scenarios. So according to these scenarios, your configuration can be changed. So for the demo purpose, I will go with web app. Here we have the created screen. So it has some fields to fill out about our application. So I will go with my subscription and the resource group which I have created, demo NASA API project, and a name for my application. Keep in mind that this name will be added to our resource accessing URL. So if I go with the name, and the link will be the name plus Azure website.net. Right? So I name as demo NASA API backend. Yeah, I don't want a unique name. So yeah, and we are going to publish our web application in code. Either you can create a container on Linux or Windows and load the container, and you can deploy the application into containers, and also a web like a a static web application. So I will proceed with the code, and my runtime stack will be Node 18 latest. So you have to select the runtime stack according to your application. So my application uses Node.js. That is why I have selected the runtime stack as Node.js. And this will be a Linux operating system, and the region will be Southeast. So here you can select the pricing plan, and I will go with the basic one. So yeah, my configuration is done. I don't have any database, and I don't have any CI/CDs for this application, and no networking. Let's create an app service. So this process will be validating our configurations. Once the configurations are valid, we can create the app service. So as you can see, our deployment is completed. Here I can go to my resource that I've created already. So let's give it a time to load all the data. Here we can see the details of our app service, name, and the runtime stack. So if you have deployment need to be done, you can create a CI/CD plan using deployment center. So we will discuss that on a separate video. Here. So the backend app service is completed. So now we have to check whether the app service is available within uh, our Visual Studio Azure Tools. So let's go to our Azure Tools, and here I don't currently I don't have the app service loaded here. So once I refresh the resources, I have the created app service here. So let's see how we can deploy our application. Yeah, I have two different application loaded into my IDE. So I have backend and the front end. So I need to deploy backend first. I right click on my root folder of the project, not the IDE of the project. I have the option to deploy it to web app. So once I select deploy to web app, it will list the created app service here. So I select demo NASA backend app service, which I have created latest, and we have some validation message. Then I click deploy. So here you can see our application is deploying into my created app service. Yeah, as you can see, our deployment has been succeeded. So if I go to my Azure Tools and refresh the app service, so our deployment is succeeded. So if I go to Azure Tools and refresh the resources, then I can go to files. Here I have all the files that are deployed recently. So this is also a JS file, and under controller folder I have my old controller. Likewise. Now let's check on the Azure portal. So here I have the default domain, which is demo NASA API backend.azurewebsite.net. So if I click on this domain, it should display a JSON result of a message like here, this message, welcome to NASA API, likewise, right? So if I go to Postman, so this my app is currently running on localhost. So if I change this address of our app service domain, the same result should be received. So let's see that. If I paste the my app service URL here, and I can send a request, and the response will be according to our implementation. So we can show about that our application is running perfectly on our app service. So now we have to do that. We have to use the backend URL of provided app service to our client application, because our client application registration part and sign in part is used local address. So let's change that quickly. So under views, in my project hierarchy, under views in register, I have the post request to my backend sign up. So I will replace this base URL into our app service URL. Now it's saved, and also for the login here. Now I'm going to verify that the application is using the URL correctly. So how I am going to use that? So first I'm going to stop the backend. So if I open my terminal, this is my backend, and I'm going to terminate the backend. Yeah. Okay. And our front-end application is currently running. Here. So we have already logged in. So let's log out and register a user into our application. So this request will be sent to our app service. So let's see that. I'm going to register a new user. As you can see, our sign up was successful. So if I go to my MongoDB cluster, then refresh my cluster. Here on the last, I have the created user here. If I create another one, yeah, it's perfectly working. So we can sure about our app service is perfectly working. So let's log into one of created user. So the NASA API URLs are as same because they are not going to change. Alright, now the last thing we have to do is to create another app service for our client application as well. Alright, so let's go over to our Azure App Portal, then search App Service. Then I will create a new web app service. So as you can see here, I don't have any other app services here, and we will create under demo NASA API project, and app name will be demo NASA API client. We don't want any unique, and our runtime stack will be Node 18 latest and Southeast as our region, and a basic plan. Can create a new app service. So deployment is succeeded. So let's go. Let's go to our application, and then if I refresh the resources, so as you can see, the client app service also listed here. So now we have to deploy our client application to app service. So here I have the backend, and here I have the client end. So I will right click. This is running. Let's stop that. And I will right click on the application and go to deploy to web app, and here I have newly created app service which is demo NASA API client. I will select that one and deploy. So here when we are deploying our application into app service, you can see a log stream. So you can monitor your process of deploying your application. So this is same as you run the application in Linux. Likewise, this runs the npm install first. Then, after completing the installation, it will start the application on app service. So now I have received a message from my log stream of the application, which is npm starts that are running on our app service. So we can show about that our application has been started on the server. So if you want to deeply observe into these files on our app service which runs on Linux, you can go to your app service and open the app service. So within the app service, we have different services and settings and categories. So under categories, you can see a category called development tools. So where here we can go deeply into our application files. So this app service is running under Linux. So do we can do some basic Linux command to observe into our application files to verify that the application perfectly or completely deployed into our app service. So here, if I explore into our files, If I go into this particular directory on Linux and do a list of files, under sites directory you have another directory called www root. So if I go into that folder, here we can see the deployed files of our application. I have build and configuration and node modules and our source file. So if I go to our source file, you can see my implemented files are there. So we can show about the application is deployed into our app service. So if I go to overview of our app service, then click on my domain, which gave me from app service. So it will take bit time for warming up the app service. So here you can see our application has been deployed and it is running perfectly on our app service. So let's do a testing around the application. So let's create a user. Here our backend is connected perfectly, and if I log into, so I have logged into our application, so we can see all the implemented features there. So that is how we are deploying our applications into app services. So that's all about the tutorial. So in the next video, I will be planning to demonstrate you all about how to create a CI/CD plan from GitHub Actions for a app service. And if you want to dive into more of this content, you can go to Microsoft Learn platform, which I have already referred for this video. So I will list them all in the description with the links that I have referred already. So you all can refer those learning paths as well. And thank you everyone for joining with me, and we'll see you in another video.